Okay, Jason.
Thank you.
So stay tuned. We'll get to a discussion soon. But, you're up.
All right. Just say thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you today, and thanks for the invitation. So this is a sketch, and so we, as I said, we try to sort of look at the finding out the potential of our city. So and to fund and make it sort of a Newcastle City a nice environment to live in, and to discover the potential. So we have to look back in the past. This is Newcastle in 1814. It's the original character with original people and culture, and we have sort of diversified forests throughout. Newcastle 1874, the city start taking shape, but however at the cost of the environment. This fast forward to 1929, the impact stretched far beyond the outer suburbs, and you can see some little forest left, and there's a clear deforestation cut line in the distance. Now this is Newcastle today, and perhaps there's no forest left in the city, and whatever left in the distance is fragmented. Here's a few facts. So in the past 200 years, we have lost about 50% of forest and habitat. And in the last 20 years alone, in Newcastle, we have lost 14%. So this is the current threatened species in our region. And if we lost them, it's very hard to get them back. So the question I have is, can we bring native forests back into our city? And can planning find a way so our neighborhood can coexist with ecosystem? So I have a big idea to show you, but before I do that, I did some research around the community, and I can see there's an outcry for something better. And what about proposing to you may have a community support. So this is the big idea. So the Newcastle have two creek system running through the city. So there's Sticks Creeks and Cottage Creek. The idea is to restore the creek system to its natural characteristic, increase capacity, and also building the wildlife corridors along the river system, connecting the ecosystem from the mountains to the river. And from that, we can expand the ecosystem to the city, branch it out from this central eco corridor. While we're doing that, the city can still grow with the ecosystem by we can build a high density neighborhood along the main transport lines to support future growth. So now we look, zoom into the particular site. This is the site that Bromeadow Round Table is. It's kind of like in the center, very central located. You notice around the site there is big high ground, which will funnel all the water through the site. So this site actually is it's a gateway to the city. So managing this flood problem is very important for the whole city. So zoom into the site. This is the site. It's contaminated. So the yellow bit is showing the area is contaminated, and it's also flooded. So this is a PM peak maximum floodway through the site, and they also have heritage items. Very difficult site for development. So my proposal is reinstate the natural waterways, which will cope with maximum peak flood. So this way the site won't be flooded anymore. And then there are also a lot of green spaces where we can have opportunity to install like attraction items. For example, Aboriginal cultural significant parks, or maybe relate to the heritage of Newcastle with the trains and industrial heritage. So become attractive to the community to come along and visit the park. And obviously we're gonna reinstate the natural vegetations. Hopefully one day the native animals will be coming back to the space. The space is not all about vegetation, or it's also about people as well. So this graph showing we can have a green open space integrated into the space, which connect the urban space with the green space. So make it active space. So safety is also very important. So you don't want to just have a forest, dense forest, and become unsafe. So the way to keep it safe is by community surveillance. So the more you have more people using the park becomes safer. So to be able to do that, we need higher density neighborhood around our green space. So you can see a lot of site taken by green space. So you may have a question, where is the house gonna go? And also the other thing, we try to compete with the typical detached home. How can we make a high density housing but more attractive and comfortable for people, so people will live in them and will wanting them compared to a typical detached house. So this is an example of 2-bedroom apartments. So we want to make it comfortable and spacious. So you can see you have a spacious kitchen, living area. You have a normal bathroom and extra ensuite. On the outside, you have bigger enough space for the outdoor space, which is quite important. So the problem we have now is our house is too big. Units are too small. So if we give it more space for the units, maybe people would love to live in them. So this is just floor plan for 2-bedroom and one bedroom unit. So this is three-bedroom unit. So you can see 157 internal square meter rate. So it's quite spacious. So how do we do that? I'm thinking maybe we can look at a modular design, modular construction. So in that way, you can control the finishes, the quality. Also, it's cheaper than typical construction. So maybe for the same price or less, we can have a bigger space. So this is how we typical stack them up to make a unit out of them. This is typical how we do it. But we could do one step. We could do better than that. So by pushing back and forth, we created extra rooftop spaces, which can be used for garden or maybe private open space. And we can also do one step better by stacking them crossways, increase the space on top. So this is a typical floor plan diagram, how it lay out. So you have a car parking and access in the middle, and then apartment on the outside. See, you can stack them, because the modular system, you can stack them whichever ways. So to have the variety. This is a sort of typical apartment building layout. So everyone will have their own unique private open space and rooftop spaces. And you have a shop at the front and car parking access behind. On top of that, we can have the solar panels, which will power the entire units and more. And which I'll get back to that at the end of it. This is typical elevations. Blend in with the environment, with the surrounding environment. We can use sort of some timber products, which require less maintenance. What I want to show you this section is car parking. So the site is flooded. So to build an underground car parking in the flood area is quite difficult. You're gonna push the water table out and increase the flooding effect on the surface. So it's not only worse for the flooding, will be more expensive. So the solution maybe we can put car parking behind the units on the ground level. So in that way, this economical is cheaper to build and better for the flooding as well. And also you will increase light and ventilation through the units as well. So back onto the master planning. So remember we have the green space in the middle, and then we can around the outside we can have all the units, the housing around the street frontage. So where this main street we can have mixed commercial on the ground level and shop top housing above. So I'm gonna zoom into little areas, explain what's in little areas. So this area is surrounded by low density neighborhoods. So over those units can be sort of full stories. And then top part of it. So that's the main street with stadium on the outside. All the activity gonna happen on the track, and we can have the sort of shopping center on the ground level and housing on top of it. So in the middle of it, we try to we're creating this internal active space, which is you can have for all the restaurant, eat street by the water, and all the activity happening down here, and through the waterways and parks, and will lead people into the museum area, which is the main attraction, become main attraction for the region. This is the view looking from the shop top housing down to this public space. Imagine in this public space, the city can have maybe an art installation competition. We can have art installation throughout, which attract a lot of people to visit. And we can also imagine that this is a perfect place for a weekend marketplace. All the markets are going to attract a lot of people into the area. This is a view from the ground level. So you're looking at this building behind, it's not very high, so it's about 6 stories. So it's not gonna impact the neighborhood that much. So it's not, could be a really nice place to live in there. So on the other side of the rail track, so at the moment, the neighborhood was divided by the rail track, so you couldn't get across to it. So maybe we could bridge the building over it. It's very similar to a lot of places in the Sydney area, maybe Chatswood and other places like that, which foster a connection between all the area of the city. So through here, people can get through, walk up, through here, we can connect all the way to the major Bromido station. So maybe good for commuters and make it easier for people to get around. So now let's get to the real stuff. This is the costing analysis. So that we include everything, the parks, the riverways, the museums, and everything. So it's, as you can see, at the moment the construction cost has gone through the roof. So it's very expensive. So how can we make that affordable? So by looking at the development pathway. So on the left is how we do it now. Council rezone the land, hopefully give it to the developer, hopefully for the best, developer will come up with affordable solutions. But the problem is, as soon as you rezone the land land value go up as well to fulfill the yield. And how can developer make it profitable? Even though if you give the land to the developer for less than market value, There's no guarantee. There's no incentive for them to pass on the cost. Therefore, we're in this dilemma. So this is on the left is a crazy idea. What if at the moment, even the alien in the outer space know Australia in the housing crisis? So what if we created a National Emergency Department housing? It's very similar to a public housing system, but it's gonna better name it. And then you can compulsorily acquire private and crown land, neither crown land. You can't buy everything everywhere, that'd be socialism. But this is just for particular land near the crown land, which you can propose for housing development. Then partner with private sector to build this neighborhood. Because now the government or the public owning the land, you can dictate the better term to the private developer. You can say you can give them a better design guideline, and also ask them for affordable housing, which I'll get into that. So back to our numbers. If we propose a mixed-use shops and housing, we can use the shopping part, the commercial part of it to pay for a lot of stuff. So on top of commercial space, the rent we can get from it can pay for the construction of the commercial space, plus the land cost for the public. And then next section is all the sort of infrastructure obviously can be paid by the public, and the museum, everything can be sort of joint ventures with the private sector. And now we only have the housing construction cost to deal with. So this is a much better number than before. So to break down to each apartment, so I break down to the cost for each type of apartments. So that's the housing cost type. And then back to the terms we're gonna get from the private sector. So this is, we can say to them, well, you can only profit, if you sell them right now, you can profit 20% cap at 20% profits. So this is a selling cost at 20% cost. At the same time, we can also say the future price growth in line with CPI. So we're not only taking care of the current generation, we can also sort of consider the future generation as well. Same with rental, we can cap at 6% rental return. So this is the rent over there. But best of all, icing on the cake is free electricity. So whoever buys and live in there don't have to pay electricity bill. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jason. I just think that's why we've got universities, is to help nurture wonderful things, wonderful ideas like this. Thank you so much. That was. I also couldn't help but see the resonances between Aboriginal culture and ancient Chinese Taoist culture, in starting with the water and getting those natural pathways just fixed first, because we're fighting with everything. And I actually felt like I was actually excited for this. I mean, we have a lot of historical plans, like subdivision maps in the archives, and people were actually genuinely excited about housing subdivisions once upon a time. And nowadays, the minute someone mentions another housing subdivision, everyone goes, no, we don't want anything like that, because everything turns out to be a horror story. So it would be fantastic if something inspiring that people would actually want built. Okay, over to Dr. Mackenzie. Thank you.